Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. I am your host, Madison Malloy, and on this episode, we are talking all things mindset, passive income, why college is a complete waste of money these days, why sales skills are the most important skills you can have, and how to have an unbreakable mindset, and so much more. This episode is amazing. My guest is the author of Wealth on the Beach, along with his podcast, also Wealth on the Beach, showing you how to create passive income that will allow you the freedom to live the life you want to live. So we will be right back after this brief message with our guest on Next to Madison.
Hey, it's Madison Malloy. I just wanted to remind you to make sure you grab a copy of my book, Time to Lighten the Fuck Up. It is a great, funny self-help book that is going to help you get out of your own way. I have already helped thousands and thousands of people, and they are on their way to living their dream life, and I want every listener to be able to live their dream life as well. So grab a copy of the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or even the audiobook on Audible. Now back to the show.
I'm so excited for this episode. We've got author, speaker, Daniel Alonzo. Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm unbelievable. Feel great. Glad to be here.
I am so excited. So give us a little bit of your backstory so people listening are going, who is this guy? Because you're famous, but not everybody knows you. So enlighten us.
Well, I wouldn't call myself famous. I went into business 25 years ago, punk 21-year-old kid. I said, I want to be in financial services. I marketed insurance and investments. And I built a company. So I built a financial services company. We have 1,500 licensed agents today. We have 55 locations. They're all independent, 1099 business owners, entrepreneurs. I just kind of help, train and coach now. And then I went on to write my first book a couple of years ago, or maybe about a year and a half ago. And I said, I want to continue to teach and coach and train and mentor. And so here I am today.
Well, I love it. I think it's amazing. So your first job, which is very unheard of, the first thing you did stuck. It became a success and you continued on.
Yeah, I just went for it. I didn't, I was 21, and I tell everybody that I got lucky that the first company that I decided to go work with was legitimate, and they were, they've been around the entire time. I mean, the organization's still there. They're strong New York Stock Exchange company. And it worked out, and it just did very, very well. But I think what happened to me at 21 is I made a decision that I was going to go find a coach. I was going to find a mentor to follow. And I bought everything, hook, line, and sinker. I mean, I did all my homework. I read 1 million books in the last how many years. So I did all my homework, but I mean, I bought it and I said, I'm going to do it. Just tell me what to do. As long as it's legal, ethical, moral, I'll do it. I'll work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm 21. I want to change my life. I want to get super, super wealthy, and I want to be free. I want to have freedom, choices, and options. And that's what I got.
Okay. And so who was your favorite? What's the one coach that changed your life?
So his name was Hector Lamarck, and he was my, one of my coaches in the business. And he had built a very, very successful company. And he's still, a buddy of mine even to this day. And I talk to him quite often. And, I was lucky that, he had done very, very well for himself, but, not in the normal sense. Like a lot of people, we watch too much Instagram and TikTok, everybody, thinks you got to have 12 Ferraris and you got to, live in big mansions, and I just remember seeing this guy, he was making millions of dollars a year, and he wasn't working though. He didn't have to work to earn that money. He had freedom, but he wasn't stupid with his money buying a bunch of, because when you build an organization with a bunch of agents, they're all trying to grow their organizations and become successful. Almost like, think about Ray Kroc and McDonald's, right? Ray Kroc, sold franchises. And then he let those people run those franchises as independent owners of those franchises. And, at some point, Ray Kroc didn't have to work because everybody else was selling their own hamburgers. He just got a little piece of every hamburger, right? He got a little cut off of every single sale. Well, it's the same thing with me. So I have 1,500 agents. Every time one of those agents does an insurance sale or an investment or an annuity or a mortgage or something like that, they get paid, but I get paid as well. So that's why I haven't had to work since I was 28 years old.
Brilliant. Yeah. And you've been able to teach people kind of how to do the same, which is, we all want financial freedom, right? I don't know anyone that works for the man that's like, I love this. I love that I can't go on vacation unless they tell me to. It's just not there. But I want to bring it back to luck, right? Because you're like, I got lucky, but we create our own luck. Do you agree with that or not?
Well, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, the harder you work, the luckier you get. I mean, I believe that. But I do believe there's a little bit of luck in the sense that, I was 21 years old and one of my friends told me about being in financial services. Now, this was the most unreliable friend that I had. Okay. So he was the guy, the biggest partier that I knew. We got in the most trouble together as teenagers. And this guy is giving me like change my life information. And I don't, for whatever reason. Now, in the beginning, I didn't believe him. I thought it was all bullshit. And like, what are you talking about? He kept, wanting me to do an interview and talk to these guys. And like for 4 months, I told him, oh, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, whatever. And I never did. And because I didn't believe him. And I thought he was full of shit. And then, so finally, after 4 months, I said, okay, I'll go check it out, and went and checked it out. And then like I said, I mean, I just saw it. I mean, something, because what I saw, I think that a lot of people don't see when they see an opportunity is I saw, myself as somebody that was willing to go do whatever it took. And where most people, they want a job, they want a paycheck, a steady paycheck. Well, I knew I wasn't going to get a steady paycheck. This was a, fee for service. This is a commission business. And I knew all along that. And so, no, I was part-time for a few months. And, so I kind of worked my way into actually, doing this all the way. But thank God I had an opportunity to kind of get my feet wet and get licensed with the state and put all this, this education under me. And then I went full board, like, and I never looked back. I never thought quit. I never thought about quitting. It wasn't easy every day. I mean, I had struggles. I had failures. I had more rejection than you can count. But I just, because I saw the vision that if I recruited and I trained and I developed and I built relationships and I expanded and I, did all the things that I was supposed to do, I said it was inevitable that I'm going to make it. Now, I was making $7 an hour at the time. This was, 25 plus years ago. And so for me, I looked at it as, even if it took me 4 years, 5 years, like everybody wants microwave society. Everybody wants to make 100,000 tomorrow. They want to make $1 million next year, and it's like, in my mind, I said, okay, even if it takes me, because I didn't go to college, I didn't graduate college. I did a little bit of college, but I never graduated. And I said, if I did this for 4 or 5 years, maybe even 6 years, and even if it took me that long to make $50,000 or $100,000 a year, I was going to be excited because I figured if I went to college, that's probably what I was going to get out making at the time anyways. So in my mind, yeah, exactly. And then I'd be at a job. And so here I thought, man, if I build something, if I, start from scratch and just, work my ass off, I think maybe I could get to 50 grand or 100 grand. And then, so what happened though, is it was a couple of years, I was making $100,000 a year. I was making more than all my friends that went to college for 4, 5, 6 years. Yeah. I was making more. They were still in college making nothing. They were paying student loans and I was making 100 grand, building a team, building an organization, building a business, so yeah.
That's amazing. So tell us, so you did that and you hustled. So the mindset was, I love this. So I'm going to do what it takes to make it happen. So I do love that mindset. But tell us about your book. You recently wrote a book called Wealth on the Beach.
Mhm.
Tell us
So
about
it's
that.
Wealth on the Beach. It's 11 universal laws for creating, building financial freedom. And so, it just, look, it's mindset, right? We all know
Huh?
that if you don't get the right mindset, you're screwed, man. And whatever you decide to do, you're in
Yeah.
trouble if you don't have the right mindset. I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in frequencies. I believe that we are, we're what we think about. Whatever
Yes.
you think about with passion, with courage, with determination, ultimately, that's going to be your reality at some point. And so I talk about that. So and then, but it's not really, it's more of a practical guide. It's not really like an autobiography or anything like that. I mean, I tell a few stories in there, but it's
Yeah.
mainly, it's almost like a manual for a small business entrepreneur that says, I want to go into business. What should I do? What are some of the steps that I should take? And, I talk about sales because I think that's, it's going to be difficult to get wealthy if you don't have, if you're not involved somehow in some sort of sales business.
Yes.
Sales is the most lucrative business to be in. I talk about money. I talk about financial intelligence and making sure you know what to do with your money. I kind of alluded a little bit earlier. One of the things I learned from my mentor was to live below my means. So people say, how did you save $1 million by the time you were 28 years old? And I said, well, I mean, first of all, you have to make a lot of money. But the second thing you have to do is you have to live way below your means, and you have to understand taxes, because taxes are your biggest expense. And so I focused on learning how the stock market worked. I focused on how real estate worked. I focused on making sure that I understood compound interest and understood that knowing my rate of return was very, very important to me building that first level of foundation, which was that $1 million that we saved at the time. And so, that's so things like that. It's just so many other little pieces to the puzzle.
So you say 11 universal laws to build wealth. What do you think is one of the key laws?
Well, I think, like I talked about right now, I think sales, I think you have to decide that you got to be in the right business, because you could take this book and you could say, well, I'm an employee. What do I do with it here? Well, I mean, there's a lot. You probably get a lot from it, but ultimately, how are you going to translate this information into a W-2, 9 to 5 job? I mean, unless you start a side hustle, which you could do that. I talk about doing that as well. But yeah, I think, understanding sales. Now, again, and then, even somebody that has a side hustle, or they're an employee or something like that. I mean, they could also, understand the taxes as well, and really start to understand how to make sure that, why do you have a side hustle anyways? Why should somebody have a side hustle? Well, it's simple. I was talking to my brother-in-law last night about this, and I said, because he's about to sell his company, and he's going to get a big chunk of money, but he wants to keep doing something, and of course he thinks he's paying too much in taxes. And I said, look, do you realize that taxes are your biggest expense? You're literally, if you just have a W-2 job, you are literally taking your money, throwing it on the ground, lighting it on fire, and burning it. I mean, that's what you're doing. You realize you're overpaying the government by not having a side hustle, having a business. Because think about it. For me personally, the business that I'm in is, by the way, it is the perfect, in my opinion, it's a perfect side hustle business, because it's a business that allows me to grow teams. So we're in the team building concept business. I mean, our organization, we recruit a couple hundred people a month right now. And we probably help, 400 or 500 families every single month. I mean, I have like 109,000 client accounts in my organization. I mean,
Amazing.
I think we we did $1.2 billion in life insurance face amount last year. Like I said, we help thousands and thousands of clients every single year. And so, what's great about it is when you translate that into a business that, like, I go out to lunch a lot. I go take people to dinner a lot. I entertain. I have parties. I have get-togethers. I have, so there's a lot of things that probably I would have done anyways if I had a job. I would still probably have parties. I'd still probably take people to dinner. I'd still probably, do. It's just the difference now is I get to write those things off.
Absolutely.
Whereas the W-2 person, they can't write it off. So now they're overpaying. They're paying way more in taxes than maybe they could have.
Yeah. No, I'm all on that board. Trust me. I'm like W-2. Sure. But yeah, so I mean, that's amazing. So, but when you say universal laws, I want to come back to that because like sales is not a law. Like what law are you talking? Are you doing law of vibration, law of attraction, law?
Well, to me, if you're going to build financial freedom, you have to be in the sales somewhere in the sales business.
Like a sales skill.
Absolutely. Okay. You got to master your craft, so mastering your craft. How about, so these are laws to me that might not be
gotcha.
I mean,
I was confused.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's what I call non-negotiable, right?
Yes.
These are non-negotiable items like the law of lifting up people. If you're going to be in a company, you have to lift up people. The law of leadership, right? You have to become a leader. The leader makes all the money. At some point, if you want to make the most money, if you want to get to the top, you're going to have to be the leader. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to do what you say you're going to do. You can't be a flake. You have to make sure that you follow through on all your promises. And so there are certain things that, I'll give you kind of and just because I know this is what you're wanting to know. So the law of creating a vision, mindset, leadership, qualities of the wealthy, like qualities of the wealthy, such as like, taking care of your health, building that generational wealth, thinking like a winner, having the right, thinking as far as how you're building your company, mastering your craft, your network is your net worth, lifting up people, mastering the sales game, replicating. One of the keys that changed my life was when I started to replicate my business. So it wasn't just me. It was me teaching other people how to do what I do, mastering financial intelligence, creating, and then the last one, creating lasting wealth. So
I love that.
Yeah. So they were all, they all were combined to create what we were able to create. So anyways, go ahead.
I love it. I can't wait to read the book. So mindset is so key. You've mentioned it a bunch of times. I work in mindset. It is absolutely key. So what do you think was the mindset you had that made you a millionaire?
Well, I think it was a whatever it took mindset. When I was asked when I was told exactly what I need to do to build my business, for example, prospecting, again, sales, duplication, leadership, building great relationships with great people, all those things combined, I said whatever it takes. So when somebody would call me up at 10 o'clock at night, I take the call. When somebody called me up at 11 o'clock, I take the call because that's just what you do. It's a whatever it takes mindset.
I love that.
It's also, and I talk about it all the time. I think I also had a do it now mindset. I was one of those people that had a very high sense of urgency for the things that needed to get done. If it needs to get done, I believe that we should just do it now. Like, why are we waiting? What are we waiting for? Why can't we just go do it?
So procrastination's not your issue.
Not really. No. I mean, I'm normal. I mean, I'm, it probably took me longer to write the book than it should have, but it took me a while to find my co-author. My co-author is really, a big reason why I got it done is because she was able to take my 25 years of experience and knowledge and information and my
Yeah.
27,000 PowerPoint training PowerPoints that I put together throughout all the years. She was able to put that into an actual readable book. So
I
I'm very
love that.
lucky that she was able to help me with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, that's great. And I love the book. I love the title. I think it's like it stands out at people because, like when I coach people as well, everybody wants financial freedom, right? Everybody wants the ability to work from wherever they want, aka the beach. Everybody loves the beach, right? So it's such a great title. And I love that you're kind of going through those. But yeah, sales is like the number one skill. It also depends on what you're selling too. That's another key thing. But yeah, I always tell people, I'm like, because you and I totally resonate with that. I always tell every person I know, even if they're W-2 making 8 figures a year, because I know some, and I'm like, you still need to start a side hustle because you're like, start something because you're so much money in taxes. It's insane. So I love
There's a lot of lack of, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a lot of lack of financial intelligence. Um, People are just, they're just not taught these things. That's why I believe
oh, they're
that,
not.
you
Our
know,
school
like,
system is completely broken.
I mean, the school system is wrecked, and you got to, literally the blind leading the blind in a lot of situations. If you want to teach my kid, history, okay, you probably will do a good job at it. But if you're trying to talk to my kid about money or about business or about trying to, I mean, even some of these college professors, I mean, they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, a lot of them, they've never built a business themselves. It's all theory. They have the theoretical experience, okay, this is what I learned in a book. This is what I've studied for all these years. So now I'm going to
Yeah.
teach it to your child, pay me, $100,000 a year. I mean, to me, I
No,
don't
it's
get that,
superior.
and that's why I didn't continue on with college, is because I believed that college was not going to give me any value. What I
Yeah.
needed to learn was I needed to learn from millionaires sitting right in front of me in the same room, teaching me exactly what they did to create their millions. That's what I want to know. I don't, and the college professor, he can't tell me that because he's not a millionaire. He
Well,
can't show me how to do it.
well,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's why I think people have to be so aware of like who they're listening to, who they're being mentored by, who they're being educated by, because you want somebody who's not just spitting facts out of a book. You want somebody who's actually lived it and experienced it, because that's where the true, like, you know, leadership style or information actually comes from. But yeah, college is infuriating. I don't know why anyone goes anymore. I don't. Back
I,
then, when
I
I
think
went,
it's
I
a
was like, oh, you
waste.
need
Yeah.
this. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
for what they charge, like it's
It's a
insane.
waste. It's an absolute college education
Oh,
in today's world is an absolute scam. People are
it's the
starting to figure
biggest
it out.
scam on the
Yeah.
planet, and it
Yeah.
infuriates me because I'm like, okay, you cannot charge more than the average entry salary. That should be the rule, hands down. And I love it when my university calls me and they're like, oh, donate to us. And I'm like, donate? Don't you charge like 100 grand for these kids to go to school? Don't you have an endowment fund that's almost $1 billion? You need me to donate to you? How about you go F yourself and I'm going to go save kids with cancer who actually need my money?
I love
You
it.
tell them,
I love it. Beautiful.
my
Well
passion
said.
is, because I'm like, these colleges, I hope you guys go bankrupt because it is
Absolutely.
insane what they're doing. And then these kids, how can they, talking about universal laws or laws, right? They are so in debt that they are automatically programmed to be in the scarcity mindset. You can't get wealthy with that mindset. But you're telling them, oh no, think positive. There's plenty of money. It's going to be great. But you have $300,000 probably now of debt. Like, how on earth? I mean, it's such a racket. It's infuriating. And the kids, if you're listening to this, if you're a college kid and your parents are paying for your college, be nicer to them and be extremely grateful because not everybody has that. But
Can,
yeah.
can you can you call my daughter? I'd like you to call my daughter because she's
Oh,
18.
I'll whip her ass right
And
in the
yeah,
face. Trust me. I'll be like,
I'm gonna
listen.
I'm giving you her phone number and you're gonna call her for me because no,
I
really though,
will.
it's such a programming because I mean my daughter's 18 and of course she's been programmed to go to college. I mean that is like that's
That's what all their friends do.
it's an indoctrination. And I told her, I said, look, if you're going into this field, I said, why don't we get you some internships? Let's get you working with somebody in that field. And then, there are also, programs like online courses, there's coaches, there's, mentors outside of the traditional. And that way you can fast track. You'll be done in a year. And then you'll actually be working because I have contacts in the industry. So she'll be working in that industry. So instead of paying somebody tons of money to go to college, she could actually be working somewhere in 4 years before she gets out of college. In 4 years, she'll actually have a solid job. She'll know what she's doing. She'll learn with people like in real time. Because think about how many times kids go to college now. Like if you're a computer engineer and you go to college right now, by the time you get out of college, guess what? All the computers have changed. What are they saying? Computer technology is doubling, I think at a rate of like I want to say like 4 to 6 months or something like that. It's doubling. The computing power of computers is doubling every like 4 to 6 months right now. It's absolutely insane. And so, and they're not going to, if she goes to college, they're not going to teach her about AI. And what do you think we should all be learning about right now? AI. We should be learning how this works and how to work with these computers to have these computers do all of the things that are necessary, because that's what's going to be required 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road. Everybody's going to be using it. And if you don't know how to use it, you're out of date. Just like so many people are out of date right now with not understanding how to use social media. I mean, look, I look at a lot of my agents, I've been in business for 25 years. So some of my agents that got started older than I was, they're aging out right now. So if they don't like actually turn themselves around and start, embracing what's happening in the real world, like, of course, social media. People look at you on social media. They don't want to do business with people that don't have a following or a brand or have something going on online. People don't want to do business with you. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's a good thing to do that, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And well, that's the thing with social media too. It's like, hate it or love it. That, trust me, there's times where I hate it because it's exhausting. You have to do all this stuff. I mean, luckily I've got like a new team, but it's just, and it's just crazy because people are always looking at the numbers, but so many people are like fake famous. You know what I mean? Like, where are the numbers? Like, bots can attack anybody at any given time. And it's all like smoke and mirrors. So it's kind of like, it's a hard thing because it's like you have to put yourself out there and do what you need to do, but like stop paying attention to all the numbers.
Well, look, me and you, we could tell people to do that because you're absolutely right. I mean, one of the things that that I talk about a lot is the fact that, there's a million coaches out there. There's a million, self-improvement gurus out there. And that's cool. And that's fine. And you can go, talk to whoever you want. But, somebody was telling me the other day, the reason why they're working with me is simply because they know that I've done it. I've actually made millions and millions and millions. I still make millions of dollars. And so I'm actually in like, that's not my bread and butter. Like, seriously, writing this book did not get me rich. I promise you. Okay. My podcast,
for everybody listening, books don't make you rich.
My podcast didn't make me rich. And by the way, I just want you to know too, everything I do as far as my speaking, my books, my podcast, my YouTube channel, none of those things make me rich. And by the way, I don't care if they make me rich. I do it because I want to do it, because I enjoy it. I enjoy having conversations with really successful people, which I do every single week on my podcast. So I love doing what I do. And by the way, my business takes care of me. My business is all passive income. I have real estate. I have stock market investments. I trade options. There's a lot of things that I do. All this stuff It has nothing to do. But who should you listen to? Somebody that's actually done it or somebody that has never done it? And that's, I think, what you're trying to get at is we have to be careful who we listen to. We have to be careful who we follow. And look, at the end of the day, too, we also have to recognize that whether we like it or not, AI, social media, computer technology, branding, having a face online. I mean, having a website, having these type of things. This is what, if you want to be in sales, if you want to be a farmer, go be a farmer. You don't need social media. That's fine. But if you're going to be in sales and you're going to market something and you're going to be selling something to someone, or even recruiting or training or building a team or have some sort of leadership with a lot of people, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to get a website. You're going to have to build a brand. You're going to have to, have a presence online, because whether we like it or not, that farmer that wants to do business with you because he wants to give you his $500,000 retirement or something to go invest for him, guess what he's going to do before anything? He's going to look you up online. Whether we like it or not, he's going to Google you and he's going to go, what do I find? Who is this guy? Who is this person?
Sure. Absolutely.
And that's just the way it works. But people that don't have a presence, guess what? They lose business. They don't know why. They just think, oh, they're a flake. That client flaked out on me. They didn't want to do business. You don't, because they'll never tell you. They'll never say that they Googled you. You have nothing on Google. You have no presence online. I can't even find, like, there's 47 John Smiths and I can't find which one is you. And guess what? They don't want to do business with you because they're nervous, because they're thinking, well, if he doesn't have an online presence, then he's probably maybe not legitimate. This is the way the world is working.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like adapt or get left behind.
That's it. Totally.
That's it. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received in your life?
Oh God, that's so hard. I mean, I think, well, I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, I just popped it. It's my favorite speech from another one of my major mentors. His name is Art Williams, and y'all could go watch this speech on YouTube. It is the most amazing speech I've ever heard in my life. I've listened to it 47,000 times. It's called Do It. It's the Do It speech. And if you type in Art Williams Do It, and you could watch it, and it is, and he said, look, he says, God's got to come first, your family's got to come second, and your business has got to come third. And I think that if you live your life that way, where you have a connection to God, if you take care of your family, if you make sure that you provide as a strong, person in your family, at least coming from my angle as a man, I always, now I am, I am divorced. So I am not currently married. But while I was married, that was my, I took care of my family. I mean, there was a lot of different reasons that we could talk about on another show. But the bottom line is that I was always a provider. Matter of fact, I mean, they're still provided. My whole, including my ex-wife, they're still provided today by the work and the effort that I put forward. But which, by the way, I have no regrets, and I'm okay with that. 100%. I had a conversation with her yesterday, and I told her, I said, I've never had a regret that, because we both built the company together. We both, created what we were able to create. And despite, the situation, we're making the best we can. And the bottom line, though, is that you take care of your family, you take care of your kids, you do what you say you're going to do. You man up, I'm talking to the men out there, right? Do what you say you're going to do and step up. Did I want to be out till midnight in appointments in downtown LA in some, raunchy neighborhood? Did I want to do that? No, I didn't want to do that. Imagine what I used to have to do years ago when we didn't have social media. We didn't have, I had to go to the pay phone. Somebody beeped me, like somehow my pager, and then I have to go to the pay phone and call them. And I'm halfway down there and they canceled on me. And now I got to turn back around and I'll,
totally.
You have no idea. Yeah, I mean, life is way
Harder.
easier now. You do it on Zoom now. I mean, to me, it's like if you don't work in today's world, like you're just freaking lazy, man. I mean, you
I know.
got some major issues if you don't
Yeah.
work in today's world because it's easy. Think about it. I am in my
Yeah.
home right now. I am in my home, in the comfort of my home, having a conversation with you. And by the way, this is how we have conversations with our clients now. I have think about how awesome it is today, right? So I have this thing called Calendly, and I actually talk about it in the book.
Calendly.
Calendly is beautiful, right? Because you want to get an appointment with somebody, just send them a link. Yeah. That way you're not going back and forth like, oh, what day do you want? What day do you want? What day's better for you? Do you want a better day? What day's better for you? And then instead of going back and forth, you're like, here's the link. They book it. It goes in your calendar.
Yeah.
Boom, we're done. Just like that.
It's like
I love it.
It's the best thing. Yeah, it's the best thing ever for sure. Okay, so the Art Williams Do It speech. I have not seen that. I definitely want to check that out. What does success mean to you?
I mean, I think freedom. I mean, when freedom, choices, and options. I mean, but real success is, I think, making sure that I can look back and say, okay, I did my job. As a man, I did my job. I took care of my family. I took care of my kids. I worked really hard, even a few years before we had kids. I worked incredibly hard because I knew that I wanted to be that dad. I wanted to be that dad that played with my kids. I've always taken care of my health. I've always, even when I was working really hard, I was still taking care of my health. I was still making sure that I had, good stamina, and I can go and run with my kids, and I would race them at the park, and I would play on the jungle gym and all that kind of stuff when they were younger. And, but I wanted the freedom because I wanted to be that dad. Because obviously, as you could probably tell, education is not my most important thing on my list, as it is with so many people, and which is okay. But for me, experiences were everything. Like I would take my kids out of school and we would go on vacation. I would take my kids out of school. We would go have a picnic. I would take my kids out of school and I would go to Disneyland. I would take my kids out of school and we would drive up the coast, and so I never really, and what's interesting is my kids always got straight A's, so, I mean, they always actually did amazing in school, but it was never a priority. I never really cared what kind of grades they got. I just was like, all right, are you doing your best?
You took
absolutely.
And they got to enjoy it, because I think kids these days have so much pressure that they can't really enjoy it, and it becomes like, do this, and there's so much resistance with the universe. So
totally.
I love that. And what makes you happy?
Progress, for sure. Like that's everything. I mean, I mean, money is like, I like to make money. I enjoy making money. I think that today in my life, I've put together a decent amount of abundance. So I am overflowing pretty well, and I'm in a pretty good place. Like my foundation is very deep, and so it's like, to make more money. Yeah, of course, everybody wants to make more money, but it's not my number one priority. I mean, my number one priority is trying to do some good. That's why I wrote a book. I knew I was going to get rich writing a book. I knew that, like, I don't like the first thing I do, because I went and I spoke at a real estate center the other day. They invited me in to come, do a little motivation or teaching or whatever. And the first thing I always say is like, I don't want anything from you. I don't need anything from you. I don't need to sell you anything. If you want to buy my book, great. If you don't, that's okay too. It's on Audible as well. If you'd like to listen to it, if that's easier for you, you could do that. But like, I don't want anything from you. I don't need anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to tell you what I did. So that way, maybe it could help you. Now, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know, but I'm just telling you my story. It's transparent as I possibly can be. I mean, like I told you before we got on, like, I don't care what you ask me. You can ask me anything about anything. I'm an open book, because I want to let people know. I want to let people know my good. I want to also let people know my bad, right? I mean, like I I had failures. I made mistakes. I did stupid things. I'm a human being, right? We're all human. We got good, we got bad. We, do good. We mess up sometimes, but you just keep going forward and you just keep what? Making progress. And that's all I can do.
I love that. Well, you are building quite a legacy, my friend, and you're an inspiration. And keep up the great work. It's amazing. And so, where can everybody find out more information on you, buy your book, follow you, all that stuff?
So Amazon. You can go to Amazon, Wealth on the Beach, Daniel Alonzo. Of course, at Daniel Alonzo with the Z-O at the end on Instagram. That's usually where people get me, is Instagram. Of course, I'm on all of them. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and X and all the, I'm even on TikTok. I don't really, I have somebody on some of these other platforms. I do post myself on Instagram, but all the rest of the platforms, somebody else is posting for me. They're just, I don't have time to upload on YouTube and all that kind of stuff, edit all the YouTubes and everything. So I have somebody does that stuff for me, but I am very, I use my Instagram almost like my email. I check it all the time. I'm always connecting with people on Instagram. I'm always trying to connect and look, one of the things that I love about my life is I'm always building great relationships with great people. I'm meeting people all the time. I'm making new friends. I mean, getting invited different places and spending time with people that I never thought I would spend time with. And I think that's, making memories and creating adventures and traveling and that's it for me. That's all I ever wanted to do in my life, is I wanted to travel, wanted to meet great people, and I want to continue to do that. I mean, I'm still very young, and I'm going to live till 120. So I got 71 years left, man. I'm going strong.
I'm going to live to 120. That ain't up to you, my friend. That is up to our Father, God.
Well,
I'm going to pray for you to get there, though. I don't want to live.
He's giving me the free will. He's giving me free will, man. He's like, hey, you want to live that long? I'm just stay in line and I'll take care of you. But but my free will is making sure I'm in the gym every week, making sure that I eat right, making sure that I get my mental right, all that stuff. So I'm working on it. Who knows?
I love that, and I think you got such a positive attitude, and you don't have financial stress, which is a big killer of your health. So I am rooting for you for 120. I'm all good if I cash out at 95. All right. Well, thank you so much. And thanks to everybody who's listening, wherever you may be. We will see you on the next episode. Take care.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.